I got a daughter. I got things to learn within myself about the earth, about herbs, about the plants around me, about the trees. There's so much. This is technology. This within itself is a technology, and I want to learn this computer. I don't want to learn this computer. Or this computer. I want to look forward and learn everything I can about nature and about farming and about doing it respectfully,
Peace, everyone. Welcome to Masters of Ceremony. This is your host, Andrew Ascari-Poor, also known as Fifth God. On today's episode, we have the ever-elusive, the multi-talented David Noriega. David, or Blank as most of me and my homies know him by, has been one of my closest friends for well over a decade now. I've seen him grow from being a rock and jazz bassist to becoming one of the dopest music producers on the New York hip-hop scene, to becoming a full-time organic farmer and eventually leaving everything behind to start a new life and family in the countryside of Maine. In this episode, we discuss David's earliest musical memories with his father, how his life changed when I introduced him to hip-hop back when we were teenagers, using his voice as a weapon against a corrupt system of injustice, how a terrible car accident and the medicine of ayahuasca led him to become a full-time farmer. We speak about the no-till farming method, permaculture, reconnecting to the land and the importance in that, and the joy of fatherhood. We recorded this episode in a beautiful wind harp in the countryside of New Hampshire while we were spending some time there during the summer solstice weekend. And for those who would like to see this beautiful landscape, follow me on Instagram at Fifth God. I got some photos up on there. Or if you're listening to the audio version of this episode, please watch the YouTube video as well so you can get to see this beautiful contraption we recorded this show in. It was easily one of my favorite episodes, and I hope you guys enjoy. Thank you for listening. Peace. All right, David Noriega, also known as Blank Noriega. Welcome to Masters of Ceremony, man.
It's a pleasure to be here, man.
Yeah, wow. For those who are listening to this audio and for those who are watching this video, we are in Hopkinton, New Hampshire. We had a little getaway weekend on this summer solstice weekend. Mm-hmm. And we are actually recording this podcast inside of a wind harp, which I've never heard of. And for those listening, it's basically a big structure that you sit inside of that is probably, I don't know, like 25 feet or 20 feet tall, and is a harp that is played when the wind blows through it, and it makes this really cool ringing resonance.
It's like a sound bowl.
Yeah, exactly.
We're sitting in a sound bowl.
Yeah,
Pretty
it's like
sweet.
one of those crystal singing balls. Really cool to be recording this episode here. I'll take some pictures and share some footage of this. You guys can check out on Instagram and all that. And we are on a farm, as you can hear the various animals in the background. And I think it's very fitting because although David is an incredible musician, one of my closest friends for the past decade now, with longer actually.
Lifetimes.
Lifetimes for sure. Although he is such a man of many talents, he is a farmer before anything else nowadays.
Nowadays, yeah.
Yeah, a farmer and a father.
Not much music going on today, but
Yeah.
it's just how life kind of,
Yeah.
just going with the ride, man.
Of course.
Eventually the music will come back, but right now it's daughter and farm life,
Yeah, most important. And the thing is, the people who know us know, and maybe the people who will get to know you will see, is that you created enough music over the past 10 years to...
I'm still sending beats, bro.
Yeah. Blank is the silent hip-hop producer within my circle. He's the one who is just working on the farm, growing veggies, but still making beats and getting placements on different albums, and is still supporting the crew with
man.
that fire, man. So
From the country to the streets, bro. You know?
exactly, man. Blank recently moved to Maine from from where he was originally living in Long Island, New York, close to me. We grew up together, and for those who don't know, we basically were partners in crime when it came to making music, making my debut album, the
life,
fifth tape,
man.
for life,
For
beyond
life.
the music,
Yeah,
of
man.
course. And it's really been such an honor to be able to witness you grow, to witness you go through your own transformation, your own healing process, your own maturation. And I would love if we can kind of just start at the beginning, as I have with some of the other guests as well.
Yeah, man.
Specifically, how you were raised, and also specifically your early musical influence. Because you were someone, when I met you, you weren't even listening to hip hop. You were a jazz and rock guy.
Rock and yeah.
And you were amazing at the bass from day one since I knew you. From speaking to your father and getting to know him, he's always said that you were killer on the bass from a young age. So what was it when you were young that got you into music in the first place?
Well, I guess just being around my dad, who just was playing in bands throughout my whole life. Always, every morning before work, sitting on the couch playing the guitar, jamming all the time. I guess something that was important was he never pushed it on me. Like, he was never like, oh, like, I want you to play the guitar, or I want you to be this. He brought the essence of music into my life so gracefully, and I guess it just made it that much more enjoyable when I started, rather than, like, some parents are like, oh, like, I'm this, so you have to be this.
Of course.
And my dad kind of had the vision of just like, I'm gonna, kind of like how I am with Andy's right now. Like, I'm gonna farm, I'm gonna show her this lifestyle, but she may want to be a podcast fucking, I don't know, man. She may want to be, she may want to live in the city and be a doctor. Like, I don't, I don't know, but at least I'm building a foundation, and I feel like my dad did that for me with music.
There was no pressure in the
no
household.
pressure, man, no pressure, and I can think back right now of the first moment of playing an instrument, and it was on my dad's guitar. It was always out. That was another thing. His guitars were always out. And I just remember 7-year-old me gravitating towards this guitar every other day, and just strumming along, playing along, and I was naturally playing the guitar like a bass.
Did you even know that at
I
the
didn't
time?
even know. Yeah, I didn't even know. Like, I would listen to music, and I would literally play the guitar like a bass. Like, I would hear the bass line before I would hear the guitar, the lyrics, the drums. It was just like, the bass was just like within me, I feel like, So I remember learning by ear, 7 years old. Within the first couple days of just like playing around this guitar, I learned Smoke on the Water by myself by ear. My dad never wanted to show me, like, that's kind of like why it was so enjoyable for me to like come into music, was because I was able to kind of gravitate towards it on my own time. And I remember playing Smoke on the Water, dun, 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 dun. And my dad walked into the room one day, and he was like, oh, let me show you the guitar part, because I was playing the guitar, but I kept playing the bass line, doon, 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 doon. And my dad was just like, well, I guess you're a bass player. And within the next week, he bought me like a nice little kid bass, and we were off like that, man. We were jamming, man, since I was 7-8 years old, bro.
As a child, especially as someone who's not the greatest with instruments, did it just feel like it just naturally came to you, like it was nothing?
It was
or
like,
did it take learning at all?
No, it was like I've done it before. Like, it was like an extension of me, and it's interesting because I feel that way with all instruments and all music. Like now I'm a drummer. Now I play ukulele, I play guitar a little bit.
Yeah.
I make beats,
Yeah.
I rap, I
Yeah.
can sing. And it's just like, I feel like music was just like embedded in my DNA, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it never really took much learning. More so just like tapping into like what was already within.
Of course.
You know?
I was just telling some friends who took the ride up with me up here that you are the only producer I know, and I know many producers, but you're one of the only producers I know who I got to see them first starting out, you know?
Yeah.
But I always say that Blank's first beats were fire off the bat. Like, they were not trash struggle beats. Like,
Thank you, man.
You know, they maybe were not as polished as they are now, but they were always well crafted and had a certain spirit and energy in them.
Yeah.
And
well, it's interesting because I didn't feel that way with beats. Like, cause you know me, I was never good with computers, bro.
Yeah.
You told me everything about computers. And you know, you brought hip hop into my life.
Yeah.
So it was like learning a new language, you know, and I guess I should say that's the one thing that didn't really come naturally, and I had to work at it.
Yeah.
I had to work at it.
Yeah.
And it was more so not the music aspect of it. It was more so like the computer aspect of it.
Navigating the software.
Navigating the software, yeah, that was like the hardest part. And I remember Goon's crib, man. You know, like we had the computer set up in there, and we'd be blazing it all day, every day, and like every day. Instead of going to parties with them, bro, I was in there making beats, beat after beat after beat, no matter how shitty it was, no matter how it sounded, just kind of crafting my relationship with the program. There was many times that, because I started out on the SP404, as you know, me and you both we did.
Yeah,
we did that together, and then Fruity Loops came into my life, and that was just a whole other realm, bro. And like I had to relearn beat making pretty much, and that didn't really come as natural, but
you caught on though, man.
Yeah, I caught on,
and especially it was impressive for me because you're someone who is so hands-on. You know, you're playing guitar, you're playing bass, and then you're going straight to just a laptop and sampling. You know?
Sampling, that was a whole other thing.
I think that was key in your development and also your transition into beat making, was that you knew samples, man. Yeah. You knew samples and new records.
Well, because that's another thing. I mean, I've been putting records on a record table since birth, bro. You know, literally birth.
Yeah, man. Your pops always had vinyl in the crib,
Pops always had vinyl, always had a turntable. And just I always had access, like most of my SP404 beats was from my dad's records, you know? So it was like revisiting my childhood through beat making, you know, which was really a special time in life.
Of course. When you started getting into hip hop, when me and you first met, when I was like 14 or 15, you were around the
Dancing
same age.
with the Devil, bro.
Yeah,
you showed me Dancing with the Devil, Immortal Technique. And I was like, you know what really got me into hip hop, bro, was like the storytelling aspect of it. Like, I was still like, even when you showed me hip hop, I was like, I don't know, man. Like, it's not like jazz, it's not like rock, you know. But like because like I was listening to the shit my sister was listening to on MTV, bro, and like
of course.
the crap. And like when you showed me that, bro, I was like, whoa, like there is something special about this music, like the storytelling and just like the vibe of the heavy drums and the heavy sounding beats and heavy sounding samples. I you know, it's as much as I am into the light, I like dark ass shit.
Yeah, man.
Like
anyone who knows your music knows that.
I like dark, like I don't know. It helped me embrace like my shadow self, hip hop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like you showed me Wu-Tang Clan. From there, it was all uphill, I should say, not downhill. It was all uphill, like from Nas to
you went deep on
Mobb
the
Deep.
East Coast, man.
And
everything beyond as well. Yeah. Wow, and it's crazy to hear you even say I wasn't into hip hop or this or that, because ever since I've known you, all our relationship has been outside of all the other beautiful aspects, has been centered around hip
Hip
hop.
hop, yeah.
Hip hop has been like the driving consciousness of our
Of
brotherhood.
yeah, man.
You know,
for sure.
and it's crazy to hear that as well, because even though you're such a musician and know about so many other forms of music, people in the streets, like all of our Brooklyn homies, all of the other homies from New York, they hear Blank Noriega and they think of boom bap, man.
Yeah.
It's the first thing they think of. Boom bap beats, traditional, just real traditional hip hop sounds. And yeah, I thought it was so beautiful to see you express yourself through the hip hop medium of production, and not only be making like, you know, beats that were similar to like jazz only or rock only, you know, but you really took on an East Coast hip hop sound, which was so dope, man.
Yeah.
And
I guess that's just what naturally, because I'm from the East Coast.
Yeah.
It's just like, it was just like I naturally embodied that, you know? Like, it's really about like where you're from, you know? And like that's where we're from. So it was just like, even when the trap music was coming out and people were starting to shift, like, you know, Ill Habits basically split up because of just they wanted to go that route, and I was still in like in the boom bap realm of like making music that, to not to say trap music isn't making a difference, but music that is like encapsulating a time period, you know?
Yes.
But at the same time, remembering where hip hop really came from, you know what
origins.
I mean? So like having a modern day twist on it, you know, a bit.
Yeah, speaking on that, man, you know, when I went away to college, well, we were making music in high school, kind of just beginning at the end of my high school time. You were still in high school.
Yeah.
I go away to college in Connecticut just for 1 year, end up coming back. But during that year, the homies you were working with, as you just stated, you know, you guys kind of just went different directions, and you really went inward into your own path, beyond music, beyond hip hop, into a spiritual path of wanting to shift some of your life. And ironically, of course, at the same exact time, I was going through something similar. And when I decided to come back to Long Island after my freshman year of college, and we started to like really reconnect again, we just completely blocked out even most of our homies. People we're still friends with today, but we, like me and you, I remember, even after knowing each other for a couple years, we honed in, man. I remember hanging out together every single day.
Yeah, man.
And really doing like visualization practices. That's how I look at it now. You know, it wasn't like we were sitting meditating, bro. You know, but we were talking for hours every day about what we wanted, man.
The fifth tape was in the works back then, bro.
Yeah, 2013, man. Didn't come out until 2019. Yeah. I mean, I think that's something that not everyone knows. So for those who don't know what we're referring to when we say the fifth tape was and is a debut album from me and my brother Blank, who we worked on this project for 5-6 years officially, but as we're saying, we had a vision for it from the jump. And we really took our time on it. And you know,
and the crazy part is we were making some banging records while that was all
a lot of people don't know. Goomba Mick, all the miscellaneous
preconceived
misconceptions. We're talking about some Iron Chef records right now. All the miscellaneous records you produced for Watts and for Radamiz and for History and for Madwiz.
And still working on my own projects too. From Auras to
Light. To just, you know, the beats you were cranking out.
Removing all obstacles.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people don't know how deep your discography goes. And it's like, that's because not all of it.
There's still a lot in the vault, bro.
So much, Of course, not everyone knows because a lot of it's in the vault. But you got over like 11 projects under your belt, maybe more.
Mixed, mastered, produced. I would like to touch on just like the reason why I got into rapping.
Yeah, please.
So like, I would never wanted to be a rapper. Like I always wanted to be behind the boards. And I remember during the first Ill Habits project, which is self-titled Ill Habits.
Mm-hmm.
There was just always these like empty spaces that I felt on the project that, like, you know, Damas Logic and Age verses weren't filling the space enough. And there was always like, I would make beats, you know, that were 3 minutes long, and they would fill out whatever they felt they needed to fill out. And there would always be some extra time at the end of a beat or something like that. So they were just like, start rapping, you know.
Yeah, they
like
encouraged you.
Yeah, they like encouraged, pushed me to start rapping and start telling my own story. And I was always like pretty afraid of like speaking in front of people, and but like hip hop helped me break out of that fear, you know. Like little by little, just finding my own voice. And I always liked writing, so that was helpful. But yeah, like I guess finding my voice was the hardest part about it. But every track after track after track, it just got more and more comfortable, and I really fell in love with the rapping.
Yeah. That was something you had to work out as well, and eventually you became at home with just stepping to the mic and just rawly expressing what you were feeling at that time.
Yeah.
You're someone who, I think specifically, we're going to speak about your rapping. You're someone who always expressed what was on their mind at that exact point in their life. Like, anything you put on the mic was something you were going through that day, almost.
Or the world was going through.
Yes, exactly.
We were speaking about it last night, like encapsulating a time period, you know, and it's like almost like putting the writing on the stone, bro. You know what I mean? Like these are songs that my daughter's gonna hear one day, and you know, she's gonna hear a different perspective on that point in history, you know?
Yeah. And where you were at.
And where I was as a man, you know, young man.
Yeah, you're someone who, even outside of the music, you've always had a deep concern and care for the state of this earth, for the state of the collective, not only humanity, but all life. And I think there was a point in your life where you took on a lot of that weight. You took on a lot of that grief, a lot of the suffering, a lot of
empathy, bro.
A lot of empathy, man. And it really came through the music in projects like Auras and project like Light. You know, you really not only expressed your frustration with society, but also expressed your own shadow side, as you describe hip hop exposed you to. I mean, the record Shadow Self, you know, that was the first music video we did for you.
Yeah, man.
That was the first music video ever. Shout out to Team Backpack for posting that and helping that go viral, man.
Yeah,
that was
remember
crazy.
that, dude.
yeah, man. Everyone listening, please listen to at least the project Light. That's like what you can find of Blank's music right now, and some other stuff as well.
It's on Spotify,
Yeah, but yeah, man, what was it as well? I would love for you to go a little bit deeper into that as well, since you're speaking about the rapping side of things. How did rapping and that expression of your frustration of just like society, how did that serve as medicine for you? If it did serve as medicine for you, I think it did, because I was a witness to your transformation. But how was that process of just having that release?
You know, like, the truth has to come out one way or another. Because I'm willing to risk my life for all my sisters and brothers. We need Jesus. Oh, man.
I remember,
you know, like,
bro.
I feel like there's so much false information, man, you know, and I needed to be a channel for the truth, you know, and I guess that was the medicine of it for me, was just like being able to explain my point of view on what was going on in the world, or what is going on in the world.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, you were someone who certainly could not hold their tongue when they were seeing an injustice.
Yeah, like I'm ready to die, bro. Like, I'm ready to die. Like I said, like, that's from the first song on Auras. That little line I just spit, like, I'm literally willing to risk my life for everybody. Not just my sisters. When I say sisters and brothers, I'm talking about the birds, the goats over there, you know.
Sure.
Like I'm talking about everybody, every being.
Of course.
And I felt like music was my way of doing that, you know.
Yeah.
Because the truth is scary to those who are trying to keep you controlled,
100%.
you know. So it's like your voice is a powerful weapon, bro. You know,
more powerful than most people know.
And yeah, it's just I was able to, like, really, especially during auras, bro. Like, I was feeling Christ conscious, man. Things were downloading, bro, and like, you know, did Christ just sit back and let things happen when you know, when times were troubling? Like, nah, man, he stood up, and he stood up for his people, and that's just what I continue to do.
Yeah.
You know, to this day.
I feel like you're someone who, if you're not expressing your authentic voice, then you're not at peace within yourself.
Definitely, man.
And
that's why for me, like, the education system never worked out, man, because they're trying to mold you to become this, like, obedient servant.
Of course.
You know, I just want to be free. I just want to be able to express the truth, you know, and not sit back and just accept lies, accept false information that's just keeping people oppressed.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, completely, man. And I feel like to circle back to that spiritual state of reflection and healing that we were going through around our early 20s and late teens, you know, 19, 20 or so, that's when we both really began to walk the walk, you know, like
that's when the diet changed.
Exactly.
That's when,
because for years we were studying metaphysics, we were doing yoga, we were on the path, but we had one foot in, one foot out.
The path, you know, like we were
running along the path, not exactly on it, you know.
Yeah.
But I would say around this time when we really locked in, as you alluded to, we both served as support for actually beginning to embody everything we were studying and learning.
Yeah.
And we're still attempting to do that now.
Yeah.
But
it's a lifelong process, man.
Yeah, completely. But for you, speaking about just using your voice as a weapon, for using your body as a response to stop all of this misinformation, stop supporting the false lies that society provides to us as young men and women, to see you actually take a step towards changing your own physical health and to establishing a connection with the land and to begin farming and to begin becoming self-sufficient. To me, that was the most rebellious thing you could have done against the system, you know, more than holding a sign or doing anything, you know.
Yo, let me say something real quick, dude. If we want to start a revolution, let's buy some land. Let's start growing our own food. Let's start building our own communities. Let's start creating our own government. And I don't even want to call it a government. Let's just start living free, you know? Like, we could go out in the streets and go crazy and break buildings and break glass while they're dropping off bricks on the corner for you to do so. But really, what's going to change the world is like what we did this weekend, bro. You know, drinking medicine with each other.
Of course.
And eating good food together, growing food together. And yeah, like the rioting, the protesting, that stuff has effect to a degree, but we need to start thinking about, especially African Americans, man. They need to start thinking about creating their own communities.
Of course. And
because they're not these people, if they're even people, I don't know how people could be doing this kind of division and terrible things that they're manipulating and whatever. They're just doing terrible stuff. And I think African communities need to start building themselves up.
Yeah, of course. I think
from the ground up, literally.
I think that's what we're seeing. I think
up.
that's what we're seeing with a lot of the movements that are going on currently. Yeah. It's all steps in that direction of being more self-sufficient, being more supportive of one another.
Of course. The media is only showing you the protests and the riots.
Of course.
But like, yeah.
Of course. Yeah, I mean,
I just wanted to throw that out there.
100%,
you know?
man. 100%. And I mean, it all starts with your original statement of if you want to actually begin a revolution, you have to return to the basic tenets of this land,
Yeah, man.
of the earth. You're somebody who embodies that, because if there was no supermarkets, if there was no gas stations, if there was no everything being provided to you, would majority of the population
which is a form of control.
Exactly. Would we be able to be self-sufficient without these systems in place? No. Most people do not know how to grow a vegetable.
Yeah.
Most people do not know how to hunt. And for you, beginning your journey, wow, the wind harp is going beautifully right now. Wonder if this is being picked up on the microphone, but either way, we're receiving it. But what was, beyond everything you just stated, I know that's everything that motivated you to really get into farming, but what were some of the shifts that you began to feel happen within, not only on a physical level from eating more wholesome foods, but what type of shifts began to occur when you started to just get your hands back into the earth? Because you're someone who, you never farmed growing up.
No.
Me and you changed our diets. We became, partners in supporting each other to eat healthy and have a healthy lifestyle. And, we encourage each other to begin farming. You really, took it as a life path. And I saw some shifts occur in you dramatically and still am. But what did you feel as you got your hands back into the soil?
Home. I felt like kind of like music, like how music came so naturally. I felt that it also was just as natural for me. But quick shout out, man, because if it wasn't for your parents' garden and your parents, deck with all their herbs and pots and just like, bro, like that was a huge influence to me, bro. Because my parents weren't doing that stuff, So coming over your house and just spending some time in your backyard, looking at these herbs that I had no idea about,
Yeah.
But there was a gravitation there that I didn't really realize at the time till later,
Of course. Yeah. I mean, you went deep. It's not like you started just you started slow, of course, but I would say within one season you had full-on plot.
My whole backyard was, It went from a 4x4 little raised bed garden to my whole parents' backyard turning into a garden that I was literally feeding myself for, 8 months out of the year.
Yeah.
And for me, it was like I switched. Like we said, we changed our diet and we were vegan. We chose to go vegan for a while, which I think was super necessary.
Incredibly
even though
necessary.
I'm not vegan anymore.
Likewise.
It was incredibly healing. Those I think it was 6 or 7 years that.
Yeah, for me it was 5.
I think I was
probably around the same for you.
I think it was around 6 or 7 years for me, being vegan, and but it really came from just like what a better way for me to know where my food was coming from than to grow it myself, So that's really where it came from, and then it just kind of trickled into many different aspects of the reasons why,
Yeah, you've always been a producer, man, whether it was beats or beats.
Yeah, man.
Real talk. And I mean, I think especially around that time, not only were you becoming self-sufficient and growing your own food and being able to feed you and your family through just this backyard plot, I feel like you showed so many people through sharing your story on social media like you used to so often, showing people how simple it is to, if you have a backyard. We know many people live in apartments and places where they don't have land, but for those who are in the suburbs or for those who have a little plot of land, how simple it is just to be able to grow enough for yourself for one season.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like once you saw that, it also simplified your life in a sense. Because you said, if I have the ability to grow my own food and the ability to build a shelter, if shit hits the fan, what else do I need?
Yeah, no, exactly. If the basic needs are met, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess let's go a little bit deeper into the farming path.
Yeah, man.
So you started out in your backyard, as you stated. I was a witness to seeing your backyard transform bigger and bigger every year in regards to more vegetation and more produce you were growing. And then you eventually started working on some pretty big local farms, right?
Yep. Yeah, so, yep, like you said, I started in my backyard. I was doing my own backyard thing for, I'd say, 3 years or something like that. And yeah, it really became more and more like evident that I needed to do this for a living. And something that drove me to that was your invite to South America. We did that 2 or 3 month trip to Peru and Ecuador to do some ayahuasca in San Pedro. And that was around the time where I was like, I just had broke up with my girlfriend at the time. I was just in a dark space. I was working at a pizza shop, and I was trapping still. And I was just, like you said, we were just running along the path. We weren't on the path. And I needed the wake-up call. And like you said, it was the car accident, man, that I was hit basically head on without a seatbelt with going like 60 miles an hour. And the fact that I'm still here is just a blessing. But that moment was just like, it's time to really get on the path, and that trip to South America was everything, man. It was everything, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I still tell you to this day, bro, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be alive, man. For real.
Wow,
and
man.
Yeah, dude, it just, when I got home, when doing the ayahuasca, you know the whole story.
Yeah,
let's tell it.
Let's touch base on this. Yes, for sure, because we'll circle back. We know that you came back and started working on these farms. Yes, but this is like the meat of what actually led to the transformation.
Yes.
You coming down to Ecuador with me and meeting some of my elders and friends down there and getting to sit in some of these incredibly sacred and ceremonial spaces with teachers and elders who have been walking this path with such integrity for a long time now. And speak on your experiences with Mother Aya, man, and Grandfather San Pedro.
Yeah. Well, so I think San Pedro was beautiful. Don't get me wrong. You have a way more special connection to the San Pedro than me. But let's talk about the Aya, because the Aya was very embracing for me. And there's a reason why they call it Mother Ayahuasca, So, well, when I drank it, first ceremony, the first thing I was told once it started really kicking in was look at your hands. Look, like, it was telling me to look at your hands, and my hands were like golden, man, golden. And it said, put your hands in the earth. Put your hands in the earth. I put my hands in the earth, and it was like plugging the hard drive into the computer and just getting so much information, man. And the end all was, you're supposed to be a caretaker of this earth. And it was like, when you go home to Long Island, I want you to apply at the hog farm. So that was the first big farm I started working at, right down the road from my high school. Which I'm like, I'm vegan. Why would I go work at a hog farm? But it's an acronym for Hamlet Organic Garden. But at the time, even through high school, we would walk through there and smoke blunts and shit. I always thought that was a hog farm, like a literally like a pig farm. But it was, after that moment, I went online after the whole ceremony. The next day, I went online and I looked up, and it was a CSA vegetable farm, and I was like, holy shit, like, perfect. And I reached out to them that day, and they were like, yeah, we're looking for one more person this season. If it works out, come for an interview when you get back home. And end of the story, I ended up getting the job and worked there for 2 seasons. But
that trip to South America
was necessary, man. And it's what brought me Gina. It's what brought me Andes. It's what brought me farming full time. And it also was around the time I dropped Light. So that was another part of the whole release,
Yeah, of course. Yeah, a very deep vision and dream of mine to have you come down
I
there
remember,
with
man.
me. Yeah.
Machu Picchu.
Yeah,
and
so I went to Machu Picchu with my brother Mateo first, a whole year prior to when we went. But as I was hiking Machu Picchu, I told Blank this story. As I was hiking Machu Picchu, I picked up this one stone during the hike. And as I picked up this stone, I had a clear vision of you and I hiking Machu Picchu. And I'm not someone who claims to have visions and see these things and be super clairvoyant. Like I'm not one of those people because it hasn't happened that many times in my life.
Yeah.
But every now and then I'll get a glimpse of something and not be able to make any sense of it. I wasn't sure if it was ever going to happen, especially because you had yet to travel outside of the tri-state area, basically, your whole life.
Much, yeah.
Yeah, you had never traveled. I knew you were working, you were focused. It was going to maybe be hard to get you down there. But a whole year later, after that car accident and you realizing that you wanted to shift some things, it manifested. And we were able to go to Peru. We hiked Machu Picchu together. We did ceremonies in Peru.
What a special moment in life, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, very blessed.
And many more to
moment.
come.
Of course.
Many more to come.
I mean, we're sitting here in this beautiful field and this beautiful instrument. I don't even know what to call it. But after such a powerful summer solstice ceremony together, and you're someone, you're giving me a lot of love, man. So I got to give some back. You're someone who, if it wasn't for your presence, if it wasn't for your support, if it wasn't for your love and encouragement, I would have never had the courage to follow this path that I'm on. I would have never had the clarity because there were so many other people in my life, even till this day now. I have such a huge support system, but there were most people in my life who had no idea what the hell I was doing, going down to Ecuador, drinking these medicines, sitting with these elders and studying these ancient traditions. And
I understood though, man.
Yeah.
We were doing like all the mushroom ceremonies we've done in our 16, 17, 18, 19, all the mushrooms we've done. I knew what you were doing, bro.
Yeah.
And you're it, man. You're embracing it. Like you ran an amazing ceremony yesterday, bro. Amazing. Thank you for yesterday.
Thank
Big
you,
time, man.
Thank you, man. Of course. And I feel like everything we're discussing, from the farming to the reconnection to the land and the earth, to the gritty hip hop beats, to being self-sufficient, to the ceremonies, it all ties into this life that you and I are building currently. And I think the biggest blessing that came out of your trip to South America was your daughter Andes, who you named after the Andes Mountains. You saw her coming, during one of your visions, and she did come after you returned home. You found Gina, your beautiful partner, who is not far from here right now. And now you are a father, man. You are a farmer, a father, a producer, a musician. But to see you in the role of being a father is such a testament to just the power of God and Great Spirit, man, of everything is pre-planned to a certain extent. It was written,
and you just got to look at the sign. You just got to pay attention to the signs,
Of
man.
Of course.
Yeah.
How is fatherhood, man? Especially now, Andes is almost 2, right?
Yeah,
in September she'll be 2.
September 1st, she'll be 2.
How has fatherhood been for you, man?
I'm going to say it again. It feels very natural, bro. I don't know if it's because I'm a Pisces, old soul, bro. But I just feel like a lot of things that have happened and occurred in my life, I feel like I've been there and I've done that, And, yeah. It's everything I ever wanted, really. Being a father. Yeah, it's everything I've ever wanted. I knew I wanted to be a father very young. And I knew I wanted to be a young father, too.
Yeah, you always used to say that. Yeah. Yeah.
So she's everything, bro. I mean, she's the reason why I am doing what I'm doing now and giving her the lifestyle that she needs to grow into to be a beautiful being, whatever she wants to be, you know?
Yeah.
And
She's blossoming, man.
and to have a partner that's a yoga teacher and is so loving and caring, and another Libra, you're a Libra. I'm surrounded by all these special Libras that keep me balanced.
Yeah.
Cause you know me, I can go live in the woods, bro. I can go way off the deep end, man. But you guys keep me grounded and balanced. So I appreciate you, both of you.
Of course, man.
My Libra family.
Yeah, Andy's, man.
Andy's a special little soul, man.
Yeah.
Special little soul. So much love.
She has the music flowing through her already, man.
Oh, she's got the rhythm, bro.
Crazy.
She's got the rhythm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She's on the drums. She's on the keys. She's strumming on the guitar the other day.
When I was learning the drums a lot, like practicing a lot, she was a couple months old.
Yeah.
So I would be holding her in one hand and playing with the drums and sitting on my lap playing. She'd have the sticks, I'd have some sticks, and we'd be playing together. And so kind of like I want to be, because my dad's such a big influence for me. I want to be like him, and just like in the aspect of just letting her flow to whatever instrument she wants, to whatever path in life she wants, and just to be there as support for her, you know?
Yeah, I think you're doing a fantastic job, both you and Gina, man.
Thank you, man.
And she's just a happy, healthy child, and I love to see that she's eating healthy foods, and man. You guys are, the way our parents raised us, they did their absolute best. They did more than their best. We were having a whole discussion last night of how we would not even be here recording this podcast or here on this beautiful land if it wasn't for the sacrifice of our parents, you know? But due to their hustle, due to the amount of time that they had to put into working, we may have not always been able to receive the healthiest nutrition. You know, sometimes it was fast food, sometimes it was the typical American diet. And to see you now have a child and consciously say, like, you know, thank God I turned out all right, but no, like, my child is gonna receive the highest quality nourishment from this beautiful Mother Earth. It's an amazing sight to see, man. I see.
It's so special to be like working on the farm that I'm working at now, and she's just roaming around naked, and she comes into the greenhouse, radish, or whatever. I'm the spinach. She calls it spinach. And I'm just like, this is just amazing, man.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I literally am a full-time father and a full-time farmer, and I wouldn't want it to be any other way, man.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want it to be any other way.
I truly see it as a return to the ways of your ancestry, man.
Our ancestry, bro.
Yeah.
It's because, you know, this is, you know, in regards to like anybody that wants to farm or get into gardening, it's like, this is what we're meant to do. Some people will say, I don't have a green thumb. That is nonsense, man. It's nonsense. You have it in you. All our ancestors were farming the land.
We wouldn't be here if they weren't farmers.
No,
There's no such thing as saying, you know, a couple hundred years ago, I don't have a green thumb.
No,
you know?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
We all have it within us. We just have to. We have to unlearn, just like the technological aspect of society, which I'm grateful for. I'm grateful. We got these mics here. We got these cameras here. We're recording a podcast. We're spreading good information. But
there needs to be a balance.
We can't forget where we came from, man. We can't forget where our roots are, man. And I feel like too many people are shifting towards the technological ways of life and forgetting about this. And I would like to see more integration with both worlds.
Of course.
Which I really like. When I start my own farm and I get that going, I really want to like be a strong advocate for that. Getting people's hands in the soil who may not have access to it, you know?
Yeah. I think whenever you really, you know, enter that stage of your life, I would love to see like more documentation and sharing of it. Because you were someone who, I've told you this already, but now it's being brought up even more. Someone said it to me the other day again of how much they miss seeing you on social media. Because for all those listening, you may go try to find David to follow on Facebook or Instagram, but you're not going to find him there because he's not. The most you can do is find him on Spotify and listen to his music, which is probably the best way to get to know him. But yeah, I feel like that sharing is necessary, know, and that's a way of how we can use this technology to our advantage. Yeah. And I see that in the future, hopefully you will get to a point where you can share this information. You could show people how to plant Three Sisters model. You can show people,
permaculture,
no-till, exactly. All these different things,
the real indigenous ways of working the land respectfully. That's what I want to teach people.
Of course. And you've learned it extensively in these short amount of years, man.
Yeah.
I've seen, as much as I've seen you with your hands in the soil, I've also seen you with your head in a book.
Yeah.
Many a times when you were still living at home, reading these different farming books and, reading about Steiner and biodynamics and, the link between the sun, moon, and stars with, the harvesting of different plants.
The rhythms of the earth, man. The rhythms of the earth.
Yeah, you have a lot to share, man. And
that's a whole, dude, we can go so deep into, we got to have a farm, we got to have a whole no-till,
we got to bring Albert. We got to bring Albert on the podcast.
Farming.
Man. That would be dope.
Yeah, we got to have
we need to have more.
Yeah, that would be great to have Albert.
Yeah,
too.
yeah, he knows a lot about all of this, man.
But I would like to share like a bit of why I'm not on Instagram anymore and why I'm not on Facebook anymore. And for me, it was just like I was constantly just like flaunting my ego and flaunting my point of view, and which people agree with, and then you have people who don't, and it's just like it creates just like this energy that was just like not productive. You know what I mean? And plus also, I don't know if anybody knows this, but there's a section in the settings where you can look how much time you spend on Instagram.
Yep.
Bro, I was spending 2 hours a day on Instagram. You add that up for the year, I was spending almost 2 to 3 months on Instagram.
Wow.
A year.
Yeah. That's
Bro,
scary, man.
So I got a daughter. I got things to learn within myself about the earth, about herbs, about the plants around me, about the trees. There's so much. This is technology. This within itself is a technology, and I want to learn this computer. I don't want to learn this computer. Or this computer. I want to look forward and learn everything I can about nature and about farming and about doing it respectfully,
Of course.
And I think one day I will have an Instagram again, but it would be for like the farm.
It wouldn't
be me,
Yeah.
It wouldn't be blank Noriega anymore. It'll be the farm and
That's so beautifully said, man. Learning this technology, the technology of this planet and of our essence, because
I mean, look at all the animal signs that were around us yesterday, bro. Like, come on, man.
The owls, the coyotes, or the cows in the field, and the woodpeckers,
the wind blowing at the perfect time of a prayer, the fire spitting the moment you say something that it's just like, come on, man. We're living in the most advanced technology right now. There's 100%. No man-made computer that'll ever beat it, because you know what? The computers, all this stuff that we're so obsessed with these days are gonna just melt into the earth. The earth will find a way to ingest that stuff and turn it into something, The
fire and the wind and the water and the earth are not going anywhere, be there, bro. Man. And the spirit within, man, it's eternal. I think it's exactly what you're speaking to, especially in those moments during ceremony yesterday where, you're offering a prayer to the water, and the rain begins.
The rain comes. It's like, come on,
you're
man.
praising the essence and life-giving quality of fire, and the fire crackles in a certain way where you see this response from nature in collaboration with what you're doing, and I feel like everything we're discussing now is a simple reconnection. I mean, it's a reconnection, man, to, yes, the highest form of technology that exists, which is nature. It's so direct and immediate, and people think that you need to go into nature to experience nature,
Bro.
not knowing that you're never ever disconnected from nature.
It's never
you may mentally believe and have the perception that you are, but it doesn't make sense logically.
It's interesting how we nowadays it's like, oh, let's go to this park. It's like a museum. It's like, let's go to this patch of wood. Like, dude, this is our life-giving mother and father sky and grandfather sun, and like, dude, they're all working in rhythm, and we are too. We are too. Look up from your phone. Look at the birds. Look at the trees. Breathe.
Yes.
Breathe a deep breath, and like, man, life is not scarce. The idea of scarcity is just nonsense. The idea that there's people starving right now, while the 3-acre farm I'm working on right now is 3 acres. We're feeding 200 families this year, and 4 health food stores.
Yeah,
it's like it's not about how much land you have. Every person can have 40 acres and a mule, man, and we could all be eating well and living a life at peace.
Yes. Yeah, I think
which I think we're working towards.
We're working towards it, and there's an obvious and palpable shift that has been occurring for some time now, and the tides have shifted, and I believe personally that there's no going back. It may sound cheesy and new agey, but it is the most appropriate language when you say we are in a new awakening, and that the veil is thinning, and that people are realizing that the systems of our countries and of our societies are simply, this is a fact, not sustainable. At least everyone can agree on that, no matter what race or political party you're a part of. Everyone has to agree that the way we are consuming is simply not sustainable.
And it's not like the oil fields are going to run dry someday, and that's why I'm leaning towards no-till farming these days, because there's going to be a time where tractors are just not going to be there.
Yeah.
And if you really think back of like, people in Jamaica, people in India, they don't have access to no tractor, bro. They're working the land by hand, and so they're working the land with the future in mind.
Yeah.
And
real quick, because there may be some specific farmers who tapped into this podcast and they're loving everything else we're sharing, but they may be like, I want to hear some wisdom from this guy, or at least hear what he's talking about. And for those who don't know, what is the no-till method of farming, and how is it beneficial to the land and the produce?
Well, let me say this. First of all, no-till farming and permaculture isn't some white guy who figured it out. Okay?
Word.
They say Bill Mollison is the grandfather or the godfather of permaculture. Come on, man. Come on. Dude, this is how farming is and always was.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about farming that was sustainable, because when tillage came into like
and what
civilization.
Is tillage for people who don't know?
So tillage is the closest thing to a natural disaster. So you're literally ripping apart the ground. Like, so you see this pasture right here? You're literally turning that ground under, and you're restarting this field right here, which has very, very like horrible effects to the environment.
Yeah.
In regards to, because soil holds carbon, I mean, every time you till a field, you're releasing carbon into the atmosphere. So they're blaming cars, which cars do have some, some aspect of like global warming and the greenhouse gases and all that stuff. But you could blame tillage for a lot of our problems these days, man. And it's not being spoke about. So you're driving, you've probably seen it. You're driving in upstate New York or something like that, and you see 400 acres of corn. That's just, and they're tilling that field twice a year. They're spraying herbicides on that field. There's nothing sustainable about it, They're not building soil. They're destroying soil. So you could go back to societies like Egypt. Egypt, at one point, was a lush green landscape. And the reason why places like Rome, places like Egypt collapsed was through famine, because they destroyed their soil. So we are moving fast towards that.
Yeah, especially in the States.
Especially in the States, man. We're moving really fast towards that. They're saying we only have 60 years of topsoil left.
Yeah.
And they're not thinking about like changing their methods. It's just crazy. But
so you and your farm that you're working at, and from the studies you've done, this experience of no-till farming, what are the benefits that you have firsthand seen as a farmer of using this method that you say is indigenous and ancient and our original way? Because obviously we didn't have heavy-duty machinery in the past.
So, one, there's life in the soil. When you till up the soil, you're not only destroying all the microbes and bacteria and earthworms in the soil, you're destroying every aspect of soil structure. So instead of tilling the soil, we just allow the worms to do it, because that's what they're there for. They're there to eat the stuff on top and bring it to the bottom. They're there just making channels, aerating the soil.
Yeah.
And if you just keep tilling it up, you're breaking the mycelium networks in the soil. You're breaking up all the fungal networks in the soil. So that's one aspect, is that you dig into any patch of soil on that farm, there's worms there. Anywhere, bro.
Yeah.
Anywhere. So instead of tillage, we're just building the soil. So we're adding a layer of compost every year. We're adding a layer of leaves every year. We're adding a layer of bark mulch or wood chips every year. And every year we're burying that weed seed bank, which is another thing. When you till, you're bringing up that weed seed bank. So like say for instance, ragweed or amaranth, those seeds can last in the ground for over 100 years.
Wow.
So you could till this field, and you'll see weeds come up that have been sitting in the ground for hundreds of years. So when you don't till, we're treating the soil as if it's a part of the forest still. Why treat it any different just because there's not trees on there,
Wow, that's deep. So people are basically deforesting the land despite not even cutting a tree down, just by ripping the soil up.
Yeah.
Wow.
So every year you're deforesting the land.
Yeah.
So, and then nutrient wise in the food, I mean,
yes, exactly what I was about to ask.
The soil is just, it's not about how much fertilizer you add to the soil, because the fertilizer is not feeding the plant. It's not feeding the soil. It's not feeding the soil, it's feeding the plant. And so just because you put this synthetic nitrogen in the soil doesn't mean that it's absorbing that nutrient into the plant. You get what I'm saying?
Of course.
And it's a synthetic version of it anyways, so it's not like your body is even going to be able to truly recognize it.
Yeah.
So
it's a foreign substance at that point.
Yeah, so we're just allowing the soil to pretty much take care of itself, because that's what it does. You know what I mean?
Yes, and especially with proper planting and companion
planting
and
crop rotations and things like that, and adding to the soil, giving back to the land. You know how many farms are just tilling their soil and not giving back year after year? Bro, like the Dust Bowl in the 50s or the 40s or 50s, like that was due to tillage.
Yeah.
And then you had the tornadoes come through and rip up all the topsoil, and They say where we base our life off of 6 inches of topsoil, bro. And we are just destroying it day after day after day. And when you're farmed like the way that I'm farming now, you don't need a lot of land to feed a lot of people, because once you get rid of once you start burying that weed seed bank, you can plant things closer together, because you don't have to worry about weeding. Because things on a farm is so mechanized. It's like every plant has to be a certain width apart so the machine can go through and weed, and so you can weed. And when you don't have any weeds, you can plant things closer apart so you could feed more people.
Yes.
Yeah. And the nutrients in the soil don't get as drained as quickly because you're constantly adding to it.
You're treating it as a living organism, which it is.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think you hit the nail on the head saying that we have been conditioned to simply take, and not give back. And I think it circles back to the entire essence of this conversation of this process of tillage, this process of deforestation, this process of adding synthetic nutrients to the soil. It all comes from a consumeristic mindset of we need to produce, we need to sell. Yes, there's
not enough.
There's not enough. We need to be able to make profits.
Yep.
And I think the only remedy to that is exactly what we're speaking to, a reconnection of the land and knowing that you need to give more than you take. Not just that you need to give, but that you should indeed be a steward of the land, as I've heard you say.
Exactly.
Be a caretaker.
Exactly.
Because, yes, you hear it all the time, people saying that humans are a virus to this earth and we're a plague.
No.
Maybe when I was a teenager, I was like, oh, yeah, that sounds cool. No, we are caretakers.
Yeah.
To me, we are servants of not only nature, but people who are here to help serve all life on this planet. Because a bird can't decide to till or not to till a field that can possibly feed 100 people. Humans have been gifted with this level of consciousness in which we can enact change.
We can manipulate the earth. But we need to learn how to manipulate it with love and care.
Not with respect.
Yeah, not like you said, not just like gimme.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you think about like this pasture, right? Like the cows are eating, the cows are shitting on the pasture. They're taking care of this pasture.
Yeah.
The farmer's not taking care of the pasture.
Yeah.
The cows are. But it's like, that's the thing, man. It's like we are like those animals. We just forgot.
Yeah. That's all it is.
We just forgot, man. And like we're meant to take care of the forest. We're meant to like clear the forest so it can be better for hunting. And that's what native peoples did, man. They cleared the underbrush so they could see clear and shoot a deer, and with a bow and arrow. They were true caretakers of the land, and not just Native Americans, and all indigenous people around the world.
Of course.
That are still to this day screaming to the heavens for people to just wake up to that reality,
Yeah, it's a path of remembrance. That's the term I always use with, the path that I'm walking, the path that you're walking. It's a path of...
And they're similar paths.
They're hand in hand.
Hand in hand.
And something you said earlier that brought up a thought that's coming back to me now, when we were speaking about how some people claim that not everyone has a green thumb. Even if that is true, when we look at past cultures, past communities, that's exactly what they were. Communities. Everybody offered their unique gift, their unique skill, and what felt natural to them to be able to provide to the tribe. And
not everybody was farming. There was people who were hunting. There were people who were making clothes. There were people who were building. Yeah, exactly.
Of course, there were people.
We
who
all
were
have
healing.
our own skills.
Yeah. I think it's just something important to note on, that everything we're discussing it's important to understand the importance of all these individual aspects within society: the farming, the architect, the painter, the shaman, the doctor. It's important to understand all these different roles so that you can see, okay, there are many different roles. Where do I fit?
Where do you fit?
And let me not just force myself, as you said, giving credit to your father, let me not force myself or force my child to be in this role that may not be best for them. So as adults, even if we were conditioned that way as children, it's our responsibility to take the power back and sit still and get in touch with our heart and soul and feel like, what do I have to offer? And if I don't know, let me do some practices that will get me back in touch, that will help me remember. And whether that's ceremony, whether that's meditation, whether that's surfing, basketball, whatever, something that gets you into a state of knowing, okay, I'm clear, this is what I want.
Yeah.
And you're someone, brother, who I really think has found their path. Like, you don't even have a doubt of if what you're doing is correct for you. Like, you know it. And I don't want to put words into your mouth, but we're such close brothers. I feel like you're so at home with what you're doing right now.
I have a line in one, I forget what song it is, but God is the writer and I am just his pencil. I
remember.
I'm just embracing, like, I don't even really feel like I'm in control of anything. I'm just like going with it, going with the flow of it.
Yeah.
And embracing that flow,
Yeah. Wise words, man. Let's wrap on that, because I feel like that's the message that people need to hear the most, man. Thank you so much for your life, brother. Thank you for enacting this weekend. You and Gina, really agreeing to want to meet with some of the family and be able to receive some deep spiritual nourishment and receive some hugs. We're living in a time where people are scared to shake hands and hug, and
come on,
it's
man.
that's a whole nother episode by itself. But it's really been such a pleasure to reconnect, man.
For real, likewise, man.
And we express our love for each other, but I don't care, man, how public this platform is. I want to express my love to you for everyone to see, man.
Yeah, man.
And I hope people can see that when two brothers, when two sisters, when two friends, when a mother and father or father and daughter come together and really are there to support one another, it really helps
Sky's
uplift
the limit,
the
bro.
entire community, man. The sky is the limit. That is correct,
For
bro.
real, man.
So thank you for coming on to Masters of Ceremony, man.
Thank you for having me, man. I'm really proud of you and your path as well, man. You're killing it, man. Killing
Thank you,
it.
bro.
You're holding the torch, man.
Doing my best, man.
While I'm in the country, while I'm in the countryside,
we're
you're
doing it
holding
together,
it down, bro.
We're holding down two sides of the same bridge.
Yeah,
man.
man.
So much love, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Peace.
Peace.
Peace, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode. If you enjoyed this show and want to learn more about David Noriega, you won't find him on social media as stated in the podcast, but you can listen to his music found under his artist name, Blank Noriega, on Spotify, iTunes, all streaming services. And we really appreciate you guys tuning in. If you enjoyed this show, please take a moment to subscribe, leave a review, send to your mom, your uncle, your brother, your sister, someone who you think would enjoy this episode or some of the other episodes. And let's continue to build a beautiful community out of Masters of Ceremony. Thank you guys so much for all the support and love I've received thus far with this show, and I hope to see you again next week. Peace.